a guest present.
Who the heck is that guy?
You look like the Shadow of the Jolter fanboy.
It's a Jigglypuff seen from above, guys. Come on.
This is the Babadook?
Oh, wow. He really looks like he's pooping now.
He sure does. I'm sure we should probably go and...
What the?
Indeed. Oh, happy day.
Walking Dead!
Oh,
He is, if he isn't.
I love how I didn't hear Taisa scream at all.
Yeah.
That's how loud you were screaming.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So it turns out the victim is not dead, he's just a zombie, I guess. We are now
Zombies.
Yep, there are zombies in this game. I mean, did you heard Mr. Naruhodo? He said Walking Dead, you know? So we're gonna take a little slight detour of the stuff because I want to grab some things for trophy reasons. Now that we have the opportunity. We have to examine the blackboard again. Now, because Susato's here with us, apparently. Oh, Iris is working over there. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, she is literally writing about this case as we speak.
Ah, yes, this is where you you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? So what's on the blackboard today?
Math.
Buck up, Bruno. What is this?
Oh, I'm just playing around with ideas for the title of next month's installment.
Why? Why is it named that?
Another idea I had was the barrel coronet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Bruno?
Anything but buck up Bruno, obviously.
But then, Mr. Naruhodo, you'd be famous. You'd be a taker of a book.
I don't want to be famous in that way.
You'll be Gregson.
I suppose you're right. I tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see.
Ugh, so many sleepless nights. And then we move upstairs to do more shovel versus spades. All right, this is when this was before they had like completely set up. That's crazy. That's crazy. Perhaps we should put this spade away somewhere.
That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Spoken like someone who lost the argument.
You're so right, Naruhodo-san. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles.
On reflection, then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is.
Yes, I think that's for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working on the garden.
Oh my god.
Oh, I see. So you're both going to be passive
They're
aggressive.
being a
not
passive. Sure. All right then. Okay.
I'm
back-
sorry, I'm with Susato on this. It's a shovel. I don't care. Most laymen would call it a shovel.
Look, this is Naruhodo who calls a teacup the Western vessel for tea.
So he's wrong, is what you're saying.
There always seems to be a bicycle outside the Canada residence. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain at the moment, in fact.
That one seems very warped, though. Especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think?
No, I'm afraid that may be a result of the rider's incompetence. For the front of the wheel be so badly warped, I'm afraid that the rider may have been similarly afflicted.
Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsumi has been practicing on this bicycle, I think.
I mean, he did tell you that, but wow, you didn't have to say it out loud.
Oh dear, I fear you may be right.
The Garrett household and Mr. Natsumi's lodgings are in a prominent position there on the corner. Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it's a bit of a that it's at a bit of a slant.
It does really look as though the world would collapse, and even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it?
And isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Soseki-san has such a hunchback.
I only just now noticed that pillar.
What pillar?
Oh, yeah.
The one next to the soap that looks all banana shaped.
Yeah. London's blanketed in fog again today, and the sky is covered in cloud. But if you look really carefully in the distance, you can just make out the Crystal Tower being built.
Ah, the Crystal Tower. Yes, the centerpiece of the great exhibition that's open in 6 months' time.
Everyone's talking about the Great Exhibition of London at the moment, it seems.
Well, it's to be the largest event of its kind anywhere in the world, with technology and scientists from all over. I can't wait for it myself.
Do you think visiting students from the Far East like us will be granted entry?
The last great exhibition was held in London. Had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time, the Brits are determined to make an even bigger success to outdo the Paris exposition.
I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should easily be able to slip in unnoticed.
You should still buy a ticket, Miss Naruhodo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there's always the oldest approach of buying tickets at the main entrance, Miss Naruhodo.
He's just like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed. Poor guy.
So you're going to just sneak in?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed.
Well, we could buy tickets.
I don't know if they'll allow me. I should sneak in instead.
That's gonna make you more suspicious.
21st of February, the Gyarados room.
Ah, yes, the old Gyarados cannon.
Yep. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode.
We're here because Mr. Gyarados the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget.
And there's the man himself.
Also, don't forget Dino 6.
I hate it here.
Ah, you chaps, eh?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday.
It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Gyarados as anyone, really.
Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Gyarados.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead Lawsome-Knack, that chap in the ground floor room.
Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Oh, he's actually getting up for us. Hey! Aw, man, this man makes me sad. He's been through a lot, too.
He's been through a lot. He's not a bad guy overall. I think he's had
tired.
a lot of he's had a lot of unfortunate. He's like Soseki. He's just not jumpy.
Mr. Gyarados, could I show you this?
Been quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. Haven't really got the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you.
Some other time, then. Where's the achievement for, like, presenting the badge and stuff in this? Like, and it's not even in the original game. There needs to be an achievement for that. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened.
Oh, well, that hopeless actor chap arrives at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer.
And that's when he broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course.
Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Miss Naruhodo. if 30 minutes oversleeping were to such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Thanks.
You wouldn't have a door by the time I'm done.
You might as well not bother having a door.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that.
Is it just me?
Why are you being suspicious now?
Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden?
Why is everyone suspicious in this case?
Among Us.
I'm not suspicious, but Miss Naruhodo is.
Excuse me?
You know what you did.
I did nothing!
Exactly, and that's why you're a suspect. Except that it was a very sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, William Shamspear. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or is a bally screw loose.
So hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Oof. Oof.
Why, Miss Naruhodo, you're rude.
I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you, Sasaki-san.
Well, Miss Naruhodo, I already said it, but I'll say it again. That's a little rude.
He was doing research as well.
Research? Into what?
Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that.
That's a very different story than what... Oh, okay. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He is known as Sal in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated.
It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sal, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there.
We had a whole conversation about this already.
There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have much in common.
Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that.
Miss Naruhodo, really, how rude!
Stop reading my mind!
You're an open book, Miss Naruhodo.
Ah.
It's very easy to read you. Even Mr. Gerrit right here could read you.
After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning?
Well now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time.
Mr. Garrett have noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose.
Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8...
Bless you.
Gesundheit. It was after 8 before Shamspeare got back. And the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there.
Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Mr. Sato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gerrit, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg. Why do you think I didn't try kicking down the door?
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of the attendants on the ground floor, I mean.
Damn.
That's a very good point.
That's a very good face.
I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it?
I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a folly outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
I told you, you're an open book, Mr. Naruhodo. Then how did you know, Mr. Garrett?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything.
Excuse me?
That's the gas?
What?
Speaking. Sir, are you okay?
Naruhodo, I'm kind of... Dude. My dude. You can you put two and two together? You're no better than Shulms right now.
What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes.
Yes, I more or less worked that out.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies the gas to the properties via the main.
Yeah, I understand that too.
Then why is it so difficult to follow?
Let me see if I can explain. Let's say if I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen?
Well, obviously the room would get brighter.
Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment.
Huh? They dimmed. Why?
Perhaps because when you light the gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And then reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it?
Yes.
Mightn't it?
Mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe.
Is that supposed to happen though? It sounds already undesirable.
Really good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they glow... they glow brighter in the rest of the house.
Right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere.
You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires.
Clever. Bless you.
Do you want us to prepare you anything, Mr. Gerardub? Maybe some hot tea?
No need.
It won't go into your lap this time, I promise.
No, please don't. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Goodness, that's fascinating, Mr. Gerardub. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh well, nothing to it, really.
And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. Are you sure? What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrett is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Well, Mr. Garrett, I hope you have a good day, sir. Yeah, I think you kind of need it. Meanwhile, you know what? I would be facing the wall too after everything.
My man over here thinks he's in the Blair Witch Project right now.
21st of February, local prison, cell 9.
Look, Mrs. Naruhodo. Mrs. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Oh, yes?
What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me?
Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Sholmes?
He actually calls himself the Great Detective, Mrs. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolic deductions! They're not of this world! They've left me! Ah! Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you! Well, that sort of hurts.
Credit where credit is due, Mrs. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in his detection too.
Yes, moving on, we have some wonderful news. Huh?
We do?
The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again.
I mean, that is kind of good news.
I mean, maybe you shouldn't tell him that after he's talking about ghosts and everything, though.
Now, in the absolute worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible!
Oh,
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly wronging of the stick! You did it, didn't you? Confess! You're a killer! Why the mustache?
What?
Constant questions! Apparently everyone has a question about his mustachio. I'm sorry to hear that. Ah, that selfish shyster! Make up your mind! Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William! Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspear was never actually dead in the first place. Ah yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last.
oh,
Whoops! Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you? I'm not saying another word! I demand to have a lawyer present!
I'm a lawyer present.
Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? I don't know, man. But would you like to see my armband?
No!
Have I shown you this before, Mr. Natsume? Oh, yes! The sweet, sweet aroma of our beloved homeland! It shows that the wearer is a defense lawyer. It means nothing in Great Britain, of course, but I still wear it. Oh, I know exactly how you feel! Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! I just imagine him, like, grabbing the armband, just, like, having a big whiff of that thing.
Oh yeah. He just takes it off. He just smells it, and then he's just like, ah, yes,
The
home,
homeland.
as he caresses it across his face. And then when he starts
Ryunosuke
crying,
just-
he uses it to clear his tears.
Ryunosuke suddenly have, like, major regrets about presenting his armband.
Yeah.
My Haramaki belly band! I don't feel right without it! Your Haramaki belly band? It's perfect for the cold English winters! Just the thing to keep my tummy warm! Yes, I see the link. Almost.
Wait, Miss Naruhodo, when you go to take a bath or shower, is that part of your body extremely warm?
No? Huh?
Oh, I thought it would because, it belonged to you originally, so you would always feel the warmth there from the spirit of a friend that you lost.
I can't even answer this. Can you... Oh, that's not so second. Can you tell me exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume?
Why are you intimidating me?
There's nothing to tell! But, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back.
It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. Remember, player? That was only yesterday. It's not like there was another case, another game that came out or anything. Nope, that case was just yesterday.
Yeah, it was just yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening at 9:30 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspear. So, you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong! I've never been in his room before. It was the first time!
What? What?
Then, what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Gyarados said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I brew as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then.
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, weren't you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet. Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
Well, they both died, so... neither.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shamspear's tea?
Wow, you don't have to say that.
No, never! Not at all! Aren't you supposed to be my lawyer? What's going on here? Team Juliet won! That was me! And when I left his room... Oh, he's Team Juliet, got you. The flamboyant fellow was fighting fit! I swear it! Categorically! Categorically? Categorically.
Categorically, yeah.
Mr. Natsume, you often say
Hey,
this...
Hey, Ryunosuke.
Hmm?
What the hell, man?
Okay, so, ignoring the case, can you tell us about your life and how it sucks?
Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. You have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time, I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember, and then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap, and I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Cursed? Cursed how?
The man's been... The man has been accused of murder twice now.
And it got worse. The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
That was probably his fault too.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
he was accused of 3 murders.
I wasn't even there yet! He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why.
So, how did Mr. and Mrs. Gyarados not get, like, that place condemned
I know,
yet?
right? Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended me the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning. Brave or blinkered? But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was.
gosh. Was it really so awful?
He's in jail. Twice.
Oh, that's all what runs the bitch.
Susato! Alright.
I'm sure one day I may have the son to get accused of murder no more than 5 times, and she'll be completely fine.
Susato, please. Alright, we do have like a couple seconds left before we hit the 30-minute mark, but we're gonna have to stop here because I gotta bounce in a little bit. So unfortunately, we're gonna stop here. I think we're close enough. So we will continue to talk to Mr. Natsume about this cursed room that he's living in right at the moment in the next video. See you all then.